Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the Mystical Mentor. It was time to come back and have a chat and talk a little bit more about who I am and the other side of the healing part of me that I wasn't able to share in the first episode because we would be on the podcast for hours, well not hours, but long. So I want to talk a little bit today about the metaphysical side of my healing and my journey around wellness and learning all things energy and consciousness and meditation. And all of that began in 2011 when I found out about the Wellness Institute and their hypnotherapy training program. And I went and did my 6-day training with them. And that evolved into a 2-year internship where I learned all things mystical, but also, more importantly, I learned a whole different way of healing and working with people than what I had learned before. So my formal training, as I talked about before, was at Nova Southeastern University. So my formal academic training involved all the typical schools of therapy and ways of working with people and being with people, and that was, really important and taught me a lot. I was really lucky to be exposed to great professors and experiences and worked in all aspects of mental health, from inpatient to outpatient to car therapy sometimes. If, kids didn't want to come into the clinic, I would go to them. We would walk, we would play. So all forms of therapy, I learned a lot. Back then it was a lot. But 2011 rolled around and I found out about the Wellness Institute and what they were doing with their hypnotherapy training and their energy work and metaphysical training, and I was hooked. And so I learned about how there are so many different layers to us. There's not just this physical ego layer that we're dealing with. The ego is reality. So there's different aspects of us. Ego is reality. It's the analytical and rational side of ourselves. But we also have a very spiritual soul essence. There's another aspect to ourselves, and that's what the wellness hypnotherapy training was focusing on. It was focusing on healing at the soul level, at the very deepest soul spiritual level that we can be, so we can get in there and change those underlying subconscious thoughts and beliefs and perceptions that we create about ourselves and others in the world as we have multiple experiences in life. And so my training at the Wellness Institute was in working with the subconscious and helping people be at that very deeper layer and level of themselves to get to those ingrained, more longer term, deeply held, frequently, unfortunately, unhealthy and traumatic or just not good for us types of beliefs and perceptions that we hold within us deep at that layer. We carry that around, and then it's expressed in our relationships and in our conversations and how we feel about ourselves. So my work at the Wellness Institute was learning how to help people work at that subconscious level via a trance state, which is an altered level of being. It's an altered level of perception and being that helps us get to those underlying unhealthy belief system. And also working with the soul level. That's a very deep level of healing that we should really do to help create a whole different way of healing from the inside out, from that, physical, emotional, psychological, mental layer all the way out to the spiritual layer. So I was able to learn in a way that healed a lot of my own trauma that I've experienced in my life, and allowed me to be able to offer my clients a whole different way of healing, a very deep way of healing at the very deep soul level. And it also helped me learn to understand that we have lessons we have lessons in our lives. We have spiritual lessons. We have soul lessons. And so working at the level where we can understand that we have lessons and that some of this is happening, not some of it, all of it is happening to raise our consciousness and our higher evolution, to raise our frequency, to help us grow and thrive in all the ways, again, from the spiritual out to the mental and physical. So working at that soul level changed everything for me. I believe that it changed a lot for my clients, because not only do we talk about behaviors and ego and thoughts and feelings at this very basic frequency, but we can go deeper and work at a very deeper level of consciousness. And we're all working to raise our consciousness. That's the goal, to raise our consciousness, to work through our life lessons and soul lessons as best as we can with what we're given and what we've called into our lives. And so this just provided a whole different way to do that healing. And so that's what led me to the metaphysical and all things mystical. So again, we're talking about all things mystical here and working with that energetic spiritual side of ourselves. So I talked a little bit about, who I am. Let's talk about the why. So again, the why of learning how to do hypnotherapy, working with our energy selves, working at the Reiki, the deeper consciousness level. That is, again, for that deeper, profound healing. And as I went through the whole experience of learning, again, I went through a major change myself and did a lot of healing with myself. So that's, been profound for me, and I've really enjoyed it. It's just changed everything about my life and my practice. And I mentioned that I was going through something profound, a profound lesson in my first episode, and I want to talk about that for a minute here because it's part of this too, a big part. I've actually had a podcast in my mind and in my awareness for a long time, for many years, because I wanted to be with people in a different way. I want to share my thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. I want us to be in a place of consciousness together, where we can share our wisdom with each other, because we are each other's teachers. That's how things work. So I may be the one here talking, but the truth is we are, even at this level of being, with me being on camera and talking, there is still an energetic vibe. There's still an interaction here that is happening, or else you wouldn't be listening on the podcast. So I'm learning from you at an energetic level as I sit here and talk, and I appreciate that. So, as I said before, profound change in my life. I found out in mid-September that I have pancreatic cancer, and that came out of the blue, totally out of the blue. And I had been thinking about this podcast for a long time, and as I have been working through my shock, there's been a lot of shock. I never expected to have cancer in my life. I never expected this lesson, and it is profound. And I am working with myself every single day in so many different ways that I want to be able to share here and be vulnerable in the process of healing that I'm going through right now. I think all of this connects. It's not by chance. I will say that the cancer lit a fire under me to really start doing all the things that I want to do. None of us know how long we're going to live. We just don't know. I don't want to talk doomsday here, but I want to be vulnerable and real, and none of us know. And I thought, okay, I have these things that I've been wanting to do. It's time. And I'm lucky that I have a great team with me, my family members, my daughter Avery, who's my videographer and my producer. Hello, hello. And I have my husband, who's been helping me with my logo and the concepting of all the creative aspects behind doing this. And also some of the more mundane, not so fun things, like how do we work the camera, and do we get the sound on right? Which, by the way, I recorded a whole podcast, or not a whole podcast, a whole episode 2 before this one, and we realized that the volume was not on.
Partially my fault. I apologize.
But you know what? That's okay, right? I mean, I believe all things happen for a reason, so apparently what I said the first time around maybe was not the way that it was supposed to be for whatever reason, and you know what? That's okay. You know, life is about going with the flow, and I'm learning that every day now. I'm learning that the healing process is moment by moment. Sometimes it's hour by hour. And I am learning that this profound lesson, you know, all the healing work that I've done all the years with myself and with my clients, is all culminated in this time for me in a way that this happened at a time when I feel like I have a lot of good learning under my belt. I'm surrounded by such a great tribe of people. You all, you listening to this, you are my tribe. You are not here by chance. You are my tribe. And so as I go through this experience, we're going to learn together. We're going to be vulnerable together. I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to share. So I'm getting a lesson. I've been in a lot of shock lately. You know, maybe even right this very minute, I'm experiencing some shock as I say this out loud, right, to the camera. And so a lot of you have heard me talk about shock and how we deal with shock. And what we do is we take a deep breath, right? We work on grounding ourselves and centering ourselves. Yeah, it's going to be okay. And I am in for this lesson. I am learning. And I've been talking to my tumor. I've been working with my tumor physically with the doctors, but also energetically and spiritually. The mind-body connection was something I talked about all the time before, and now I am getting the ultimate practice in learning how to do that with myself, with others, by myself, in the moments when I'm feeling scared or worried that I don't know what's going to happen. So working at the very deep soul level, energetic level with myself. And so that's what this is going to be about. We'll talk about that. I'm also going to have guests. I'm so excited to have guests on here. We're going to talk about all things mystical, all things metaphysical, from the physical, mental, psychological, did I say emotional, all the way out to the spiritual aspect of ourselves. So many things happening all in a very short amount of time, but you know what? We got this. And I'm so excited that you're here. We are forming this beautiful, you know, energetic alliance and being together, and that's what this is about. This is just about us being together, and as we're together, there's such a change in frequency and consciousness that happens within us and around us. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm excited about this, and we'll continue to have our conversations. I'll start having guests on very soon, and we're going to learn about all things metaphysical together. So thanks for being here. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend of gratitude and gratefulness. And before I close, I want to end with a affirmation. Okay? So give me a second here and let me connect. And let me hear the affirmation that we're going to use to follow out into this week with. So we're all going to close our eyes for a second and just take a deep breath. And listen for what the affirmation is. So what I heard is, as we connect, we find beauty in change. So as we connect, we find beauty in change. So I encourage you to use that affirmation in your meditation. Sit with it, be with it. It's going to mean different things to all of us. But take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful week. Thanks for being with me. And remember, all things mystical, we're going to discuss it here. Take care. Wish you well.